Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hello there and a very warm welcome to the Racing Post Football Postcast. We're in good company this week. We're joined by two lads from the Racing Post Sports Desk, Mark Langdon and Ian Wilkerson. And also we've got Amanda Nee Coleman on the line from our friends and sponsors, Paddy Power. Right, let's get straight to it, gentlemen. Carabao Cup. We've seen the two semi-finals, well, the first legs as it were. What have we learnt, Mark?
I suppose we've learnt maybe that, Bristol City are a good championship side, and if they were to come up to the Premier League, I mean they could quite as easily be like a Huddersfield and Brighton. We maybe they're talked down upon, aren't they? As if this is massive step up from the Championship to the Premier League. I mean the teams that have made that jump last year have done quite well in the Premier League. That they're not in the relegation zone at the moment, and Bristol City did a decent job against Man City. I think it's always easier when City haven't got De Bruyne and Silva playing in that midfield together, because when they do play together, like the attacks just come from all over the pitch. Whereas if one of them's playing, you can kind of concentrate on trying to nullify one. But obviously, when they both play, it becomes different. Ederson as well in goal is somebody that starts off a lot of their attacks. So when Bravo plays, again, you can press them a little bit higher, knowing that you've not got the long balls over the top. So I think Bristol City did well, even though they lost by 2-1.
They did give it a good go.
No, of course, yeah, they did. And, right and all, I mean, what's the point sort of sitting there waiting to die? I mean, so many Premier League teams have done. The other game, Chelsea against Arsenal, probably a highlight of why we only need to play one leg. Do we really need to play two-legged football in the semi-final? So, I mean, I'd still expect City to go through, but the other game's probably a little bit more balanced than certainly the betting suggested, because there was a big gamble on Chelsea last night.
Wilco, was you able to stay awake during the Chelsea-Arsenal game?
Yeah, just pretty much. It did seem very much Chelsea's game. They looked the more dominant team, which we'd perhaps expect playing at Stamford Bridge. A little bit concerned for them. I think that Morata's looking a little bit off the boil. He didn't play particularly well over Christmas when they played at the Emirates, and he missed at least 2 or 3 really good chances. He needs to knock one in, and that'd give him a boost. I think perhaps he's one of these players who seems when he's got a lot of time to think about it, it gets, it's much better being impulsive and knocking them in.
I think as well with Morata, this is the first time in his career that he's been asked to be the main source of goals. When he was at Juventus, he didn't always start, and there was, you had Tevez there and, other strikers at the time. At Real Madrid, of course, you Benzema, Ronaldo, Gareth Bale. So again, he's kind of was asked to just come in and do a job. Now,
he's the man.
He's the man.
He's the only, not only is he the main man, he's the only man.
And when you see somebody like, Aguero and Kane, they'll miss 3 chances, but they'll still shoot on the 4th one. He kind of feels like he doesn't want to take the shots on.
It seems like the main... His problems are in his head more than anything at the moment.
So.
He just needs a bit of a confidence boost, I think. But I'd expect them to go through. I mean, we saw Sanchez for the last sort of 20 minutes or so playing for Arsenal. It was sort of marketed by a lot of Gooners as being, this is what Arsenal are going to be like when Ozil and Sanchez go, and they don't find that much of an appetising prospect. I'd expect Chelsea to go through that with that one, and we would anticipate that Manchester City would see the job through, and perhaps Chelsea winning the cup isn't a distant hope. I think they could. I think this could be a trophy that they could capture.
Amanda, any shake-up in the outright betting? I'm sure Man City, given the fact that they're playing Bristol City rather than Chelsea or Arsenal, were a short price going into the first legs. Any change?
There's actually hardly any change since we updated the last time. Man City are 8-15. Chelsea 100-30, Arsenal 9-2, and Bristol 45-1. So it's actually pretty much identical since before those first legs got underway.
It was about par, wasn't it, really? I think, probably the only slight surprise was that Chelsea didn't manage to, maybe get a 1-0 win or something like that. But the fact that away goal rules not in operation, in the League Cup semi-finals, over that sort of 90 minutes of the second leg. I think that is, a real blow to Bristol City, because 2-1, is a good score in European football away from home. Of course, not worth quite as much in this domestic cup.
OK, right, 4 live games to get stuck into this weekend. First up is Spurs at home to Everton, 5:30 kick-off. We'll start with you, Amanda. Would you like to give us a show from Paddy Power for that game, please?
Yeah, certainly. Spurs are 1-4. The draw is at 5-1 or 12-1.
Mark, bit short Spurs there for me.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to be steaming in, would you, at 4s on? But I think that's the way that kind of we've gone now with these Premier League Big Six against anybody that's not in that Big Six. And I was just looking maybe Tottenham to win to 0, because Everton's attack has been absolutely horrendous in recent weeks. A lot was made of the fact that they didn't have a shot on target at home to Chelsea and Manchester United. Even in that Liverpool Cup tie, when they lost 2-1 and competed quite well for most of the game, that was a Liverpool team that didn't have Coutinho in it. It was a Liverpool team that didn't have Salah in it. It was a Liverpool team that had Mane, had been in Ghana the night before. So, and they still only have 1 shot on target, just like they have 1 shot on target away to Bournemouth. The couple of slightly concerning things about maybe that Tottenham to win to 0. One is that they've conceded a few consolation goals to Stoke in the 5-1, to Southampton in the 5-2. But I'm not expecting it to be like a 5-1 or a 5-2. It's more likely to be like the Brighton game, the 2-0, the Crystal Palace, the 1-0. I mean, against West Ham, they defended quite well. It was only an absolutely sublime strike from Obiang that, of course, beat Lloris from 30 yards. So they defended quite well in that game. The other little caveat is that Everton, of course, have got their new striker, Tuchon, who's just come in to their side. So, so maybe he'll make, perk them up as an attacking force. I would expect him to need a couple of games really to get going. So Tottenham to win a low-scoring game to 0. I expect Everton to park the bus, do quite well in frustrating Spurs, but ultimately not for 90 minutes.
That's a reasonably comfortable win for Mark there. Wilco, do you agree?
Yeah, I think Spurs will win. I wouldn't want to plough in at 1-4, mainly because I think Sam Allardyce has been provided with a blueprint of how to play Spurs at Wembley by the way that West Ham played against them the other week. I would anticipate that he will adapt a very similar approach to the one David Moyes did when West Ham, battled and got a point, but didn't do perhaps much in there wasn't a lot of attacking endeavour. So 6 of the last 10 games Spurs have played at Wembley have been under 2.5 goals. I mean, they've lost. Everyone's talked about the hoodoo of Wembley. They've only lost to Chelsea at Wembley, and they've looked strong. I just think it's hard to imagine that Allardyce will really go for it. The results have been okay, since he's come in. I mean, but they beat Huddersfield at home, won at Newcastle, where Newcastle have won 2 of their last 13 games, and their other victory was at home to Swansea, who have demonstrating that they're probably the poorest team in the league.
So the bet for you in that game?
Under 2.5 goals at odds against, but 11-10.
Just quickly, Mark, Wilco touched on it there. That Wembley hoodoo, that's all waffle.
Yeah, I mean, they've dropped points against Swansea, West Brom, West Ham, where maybe we just don't know what would have happened at White Hart Lane, do we? I suppose.
But they did have a lot of games at White Hart Lane where they just nudged over the line.
Yeah, and they haven't managed to. It would have been almost impossible for them to repeat their form from last season at White Hart Lane, even if they were still at White Hart Lane. They were unbeaten. They won most of their matches, but they have dropped. They've dropped some silly points. Burnley as well, another one. So they'll maybe look at those points, and there's an argument to say that maybe a couple of those at White Hart Lane could have been turned into wins. The simple answer is we just don't know, do we?
Indeed. Right, popular part of the weekly postcast now. Quick fire. We're going to go through the 3 p.m. kickoffs on Saturday. I'll start with you, Mark, Wilco, and then we'll go with Amanda and maybe get 1 or 2 prices. First up, Palace-Burnley, Mark.
Oh yeah, I mean, I like Crystal Palace, but I thought they were a little bit short here, so I was going to go for the draw. If you have a look at Burnley, last 3 away games, all been in the Premier League, have all been draws. They're difficult to break down. Palace like to counter-attack. I don't think Burnley will give them the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think a draw's a big runner. 5 of Burnley's last 21 games have been overs, so I'd anticipate that this would be quite a tight game. They've not won in 5, but that's included games against Spurs, United and Liverpool. Palace going well, drawn 6 of their last 11. I think it could be a tight game, and a draw's a big runner.
2 votes for the draw there, Amanda. What price is the draw, and what about yourself?
The draw is priced up at 23 to 10. It's actually what I'm siding with myself here. I think Palace were unlucky, of course, getting kicked out of the Cup on Monday night, and we saw Burnley put in an excellent 56 minutes against City in the Cup action there at the weekend. So I'm going to stick with a draw here myself at 23 to 10.
Excellent. 3 votes for the draw. Right, Huddersfield, West Ham, Mark.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the draw. Again, looks like there's quite a few tight matches in the Premier League. I mean, Huddersfield have done quite well at home. The only 3 teams that have won there, Tottenham, City and Chelsea. But I do just wonder about their ability to break down a West Ham team that has shown good organisation skills under David Moyes without maybe having the attacking oomph, for want of a better word, to get over the line themselves. So another low-scoring draw.
I'd agree with that. Very organised. Wilco?
Yeah, I'm going to take a chance with your boys. I think West Ham could get a win here. They've lost 1 in 7. And before that, they played very well at Manchester City, which seems to have been the touch paper to provoke some improved results and performances under David Moyes. Like Mark said, Huddersfield's home defeats have come against the big boys. But I think draws against Stoke and Burnley at home may be a bit of disappointing results for them. It shows how well they've done. That we look at these games and perhaps think, oh, they should have won. Yeah, I think West Ham are on the up, and I'll take a chance on them at 15 to 8.
And crucially, Arnie will be back on Arnautovic. Right, Amanda, have you got a show for that game for us in your view?
Yes, 13 to 8 Huddersfield, the draw 2 to 1, and 15 to 8 for West Ham. I'm going to actually agree with Mark on this, so I'm going to go to draw here. But I will say both teams to score, which is priced up at 7 to 2. Andy Carroll's back to scoring ways. Of course, he got 2 at the weekend there after 14 games without. And Huddersfield picking up the points, as Ian mentioned as well, throughout the last couple of weeks. So draw both to score for me, and that's 7 to 2.
Lovely stuff. Right then, Mark, Newcastle versus Swansea.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to be against Swansea because they've just got no attack. But actually, I think Newcastle might just be on the verge of being a little bit short. This looks like a similar game. I was on the Postcast a couple of weeks ago when Brighton at home were around about the same price. I'll just make the same argument here. I think that there may be a lay at the price. They've only won 2 of their last 30 matches in the Premier League. Maybe a better team away from home where they've done quite well on the counter-attack, and actually forcing the issue is something they struggled with. I don't like Swansea, but I'm just going to sort of close my eyes and hope that they can get something here. So Swansea or draw, double chance, not with much confidence, but just find it difficult to back Newcastle at the moment at short prices.
And no love for the Swans at the moment?
Oh, no, I mean, they've got enough. They've just got no attack. You have a look at their stats on a regular basis. Very little up front, but they did get the win at Watford. Played okay against Tottenham, got a draw at Wolves, so maybe Carvajal is having an impact there.
Wilco?
Yeah, similar sentiments really. I mean, I can't be banking on Newcastle at home at the minute. They have shown some decent performances and results on the road, but there seems a bit of a problem at St James's Park at the moment in them getting over the line. As Mark pointed out, Swansea, they've had a little bit of a rally under their new manager with a good win at Watford, and they battled well against Spurs on a pig of a pitch, and they put up a decent performance. Obviously, decent performances aren't going to keep them up. They're going to have to get results, and I'll just take a chance on them. Perhaps on the draw, no better, 2 to 1.
Amanda, looks set to be a tight game. This one. What are the prices, and how do you see it going?
Yeah, Newcastle are odds on there, 10 to 11, the draw 23 to 10, and 7 to 2 for Swansea. As the lads mentioned, I think Newcastle did have a good Christmas, of course, picking up more points than United did, 7 out of 12. Swansea, of course, they still do have a tough few weeks coming up. They've Wolves again midweek, and then Liverpool and Arsenal. I think Newcastle can continue their good run of form in the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to take a little bit of 10 to 11.
Shade of odds on. Right, Mark, Baggies versus Brighton.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking here again, Brighton or the draw, double chance in this one. I mean, since August 19, West Brom have won 2 matches. They were against Accrington and Exeter. Alan Pardew is, I think, playing a more progressive style of football. They are trying to win matches, but they haven't really got any goals in their team. And Brighton are a good, well-organised team that have managed to sort of just keep churning out points here and there. I think that draws will probably keep them up as well. They have got a little bit of a threat up front as well. Glenn Murray has been scoring goals, I think, much to many people's surprise.
Yep.
And Duncan Duffy at the back are well organised and can keep West Brom out. So I wouldn't be backing West Brom at the prices. So yeah, Brighton or draw double chance.
Wilco?
Yeah, I'm all over the Seagulls here. I can't have West Brom at all for the reasons that Mark's stated. Goals are a massive problem. I mean, they've got a point against Arsenal because of a dodgy penalty, but they're really struggling, in front of goal, and they've not won in the league since August the 19th. Brighton have done well. They've made a good fist of staying up. I'd anticipate that they will do that. I mean, they've lost 9 games, but 6 of those have been against the top 6. So they'll be able to scrap out results against the teams that they're going to have to beat to ensure that there are 3 teams that are worse than them come May. So I'm a bit concerned they haven't scored in their last 5 away matches, but I anticipate that they could turn it round at the Hawthorns, and we'll be backing them on the draw no bet at 7-4.
Good stuff. Amanda?
Yeah, West Brom, they're 11-10, 15-8 the draw, and 16-5 for Brighton. Still no wins in the Premier League for West Brom. They really need this win here, but I don't think they're going to get it. It's going to be another draw for me. It's a day of draws, I think. I really don't see where the goals are going to come from. Of course, that win on Monday night for Brighton, of course, that'll give them a bit of a boost, and for West Brom in the FA Cup, but I can't back either team to win this match, to be honest.
Yeah, well, after we've done this, we might like a price on the ACCA, actually, Amanda. All these games could be a draw. Let us know what price that is. Mark, let's move on then. Watford v Southampton.
Yeah, it's another tight one on paper, but I'm going to go for Watford. They maybe flattered to deceive a little bit. I mean, their good early start sort of got everybody talking about Silva, and since then things haven't gone right for them. But Southampton, just a team that I'm not quite sure what it is they're trying to do. They don't offer much up front. They're not overly cautious as like in they park the bus, but they don't seem to have any direction in the team. There's no plan. I'm not quite sure what it is Pellegrino is trying to achieve there at the moment. And
what about the miss of Van Dijk at the back now? I
think they've known about that for a while almost, haven't they? They're going to miss him, and until they replace him, they're a worse team. There's no doubt about that. But I think their problems are up front. Long did manage to score the other week, but it was his first goal since February. And I just think that Watford are a team that have got a plan, and they had a lot of injuries when they were losing matches, had a lot of players out. Slowly those players are returning from injury and suspension, and I actually thought they were an okay price. And I didn't want to tip another draw.
Well, that's quite an interesting one. Yeah, you say obviously the injury worries don't show up on the form guide, do they? So they could be better than the form suggests. Watford, Wilco?
Yeah, I'll be going with the Hornets here, I think. Both teams have been struggling of late, but Southampton, I fear for them really, not particularly that they're going to get relegated, but they're definitely regressing on how they were playing last year. And as you said, they've lost Van Dijk, even though he's not been featuring for the last few weeks. I don't think that would be a great release that he's actually gone and they can get on with the rest of their lives. I think he's still going to represent a big hole at the back for them. Both teams have scored in 7 of Watford's last 7 games, and the Saints have managed to find a net on the road. They've scored in 6 of their last 9 away games. So 7-2, Watford to win and both teams to score.
Yeah, I do like Watford here myself. Amanda, what about yourself and some prices, please?
Yeah, Watford are 7-5, the draw 23-10, and Southampton are 15-8. Watford only 1 win in 9, Southampton 1 in 13, but obviously that big chunk of change in their back pocket now. I think, Silva and Pellegrino are both really under pressure, of course, in the league. But Watford, I think the bags of goals, and I'm going to side with them here myself at 7-5.
Lovely stuff. Right then, Mark, let's move on to the final one. Chelsea at home to Leicester. Yeah,
I'm going to go here for Christensen to score at any time. The centre-back got his header on 2 second-half corners against Arsenal, actually. Probably should have done a little bit better. And I think that's been the story of his season. He has managed to connect a lot of times on set pieces. Hasn't scored yet for Chelsea. He but at Gladbach previously, he was always good for a couple of goals a season. Got 3 in one campaign in the Bundesliga, 2 in another one. So definitely due. Scored for Denmark in there when they beat Ireland in the playoffs as well. So he is a threat from set pieces. And in a game where I expect Chelsea to win, that would be my play.
He dropped a couple of hints against Arsenal then, we think.
Yeah, he did. I was listening to 5 Live in the game against West Ham. Pat Nevin, before the game, who's not a punter, and he said, I'm not somebody that bets. He said, but if I did, I'd be having a few quid on Christensen because he watches Chelsea a lot. He said he keeps on connecting with these corners. He's going to score sooner or later. That was a while ago. He still hasn't scored. But since then, I've been kind of tracking his progress because he is somebody that's getting on the end of set pieces. I think eventually one's going to drop.
Lovely stuff. We'll have a look at that one then. Wilco?
Yeah, I'm going to fire a dart in the lower reaches of the first goal scorer market as well. I quite like Victor Moses, having seen the game on the other night against Arsenal. I think he was definitely involved quite a lot in Chelsea's forward play, had a couple of efforts himself. And Leicester, I would anticipate that they're going to be quite positive because they've scored in 8 of their last 9 away games, and I don't think they'll be holding back, and that could create an opportunity for him. And he's not scored since the Community Shield, but 25-1 for the first goal. I think that's an each-way play. You can get 17-2 at any time. So I think if you're going to throw a dart on the first goal scorer, then there's worse places to go.
Is he a definite starter? Is that maybe one to watch out on the team sheet for before you
he's
pull
played
the
a
trigger?
lot in the last few weeks, but it is, obviously, teams are playing a lot of football and you do have to be mindful of the fact that...
Haven't got a midweek game, have they, Chelsea?
Yeah.
So, they haven't, then the Cup, so I mean, he'd probably do, I'd imagine he'd probably do the heavy rotation whenever the FA Cup games are.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the team sheet.
Yeah, it's
for
a
that
team.
one, yeah.
I mean, for these sort of things, you've always got to bear that in mind.
Yeah.
But, it's something to put in the back of your head for 2 o'clock when the teams are out. Have a look if he's playing. Go in, or Christensen if you like Mark's selection. 2
darts there then, Amanda, Christensen and Moses. What price are they to open the scoring at any time with Paddy Power, please?
Christensen is at 30-1. And Moses 25-1, as Ian mentioned. If you're looking for an any time, though, you're going to get 10s about Christensen, and as Ian mentioned, 17-2 for Moses.
And what are the prices in that game? I'm guessing Chelsea are odds on.
In the game, yes, they certainly are. There are short price favourites at 1-4. Leicester are 10s, and the draw is priced up at 9-2. It's always going to be an entertaining fixture, this one. Chelsea won 5 of the last 6 clashes with Leicester, and I'm going to side with Chelsea and both to score at 7-4.
And have you got a price for that magical Acker all the draws at 3 p.m?
Yep. Every one of them a draw, was it?
Yep.
So that's including the Chelsea-Leicester one?
Yes.
Oh,
okay, right.
the
sorry.
activator.
I only added a couple in there.
Do the obvious ones. Do the obvious ones.
Which ones are they?
Oh, well, the Palace Burnley, wasn't it?
Yep.
What one was the other one? Huddersfield, West Ham. Newcastle against Swansea, and then West Brom against Brighton. Well, West Brom against Brighton.
Those 4.
Those 4. So a tenner, it's your 940 quid.
Well,
I'm chucking all 6 in. That's just because I'm greedy. Right, let's get everyone's best bets of this weekend.
Will not be beaten.
Mark Langdon of the Racing Post, you have the honour.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Mansfield, draw no bet at Cambridge. I was surprised that they were outsiders for this game. Now, they have got an absolutely massive FA Cup tie on Tuesday against Cardiff, with the winners playing Manchester City. So maybe there's a little bit of that factored into it, but they've only lost 1 of their last 19 matches in all competitions. They were good enough to get the clean sheet against Cardiff last time out, and actually Neil Warnock said after the game he was pretty relieved to get the draw. So they are they're anti-post favourites in League 2. It started really slowly. Steve Evans always said we'll be better in the second half of the season. I think that's kind of coming true now. Looks like top scorer Rose, a player that I really liked when I saw him earlier on in the season. He'll be back from injury. Byram and Diamond are also expected to return. Cambridge are okay team, pretty physical. That's where they get their main that's their main attribute, if you like. But I think Mansfield are No shrinking violets in that regard themselves. If they can deal with that kind of physical threat, I think their quality can tell. So I'm not expecting many goals. If there's to be a winner, I think it could be a party for the Stags.
I like that one. Wilco?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about a game that we've touched on already. My best bet of the week is Brighton draw no bet at West Bromwich Albion. The Baggies' form has been well documented, not won since August the 19th. Brighton have done well against teams that are around the mix in the bottom half of the table this year. And although they haven't scored in 5 on the road, I think this is a game where it turns around. I was encouraged by their performance against Palace in the Cup. And I think that they can go up there and claim a win. Draw no bet, 7-4.
Excellent. Mansfield, Brighton draw no bet. And complete the treble for us, please, Amanda, and give us the price.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Chelsea and both to score this week for my nap. We've seen 3 or more goals in their last 4 meetings. Leicester have the most goals, of course, outside of the top 6. And they're on 34 goals this season. I think Chelsea will be too much for them again and will prevail over 90 minutes. But both teams to score as well, and that's priced up 7-4 as mentioned.
And what price is the treble for the 3 best bets?
We broke up actually during Mark's one, so I didn't actually get his selection.
I think Mansfield draw no bets 11-10. I think
Mansfield, Brighton draw no bet, and Chelsea, and both teams to score.
And I'll get that up for you in a minute as we move on.
What's yours, Dave? What's your best bet?
I'm going to be a draw Huddersfield West Ham. That's going to be me, as you mentioned. Very organised, but not doing a lot up top, really, for me, West Ham. So
Javier Hernandez been told he can sling his hook as well. Clearly no, I don't think there's any love between him and David Moyes, is there really?
No, there never has been,
there were issues, I think, before.
You're not going, though, Clark. It's not on your list, Huddersfield.
No, it's not. But, I mean, just a quick word on him. He's a fox in the box and he's being played as a lone striker. So, you know, what do you think is going to happen?
yeah. It was poor planning, really, from West Ham to buy him in the first place. He needs somebody to play up front alongside him, and if you don't want to play 2 up front, there's no point playing.
It's amazing. I read the other day that he's the 42nd striker they've bought since Sullivan and Gold took over at West Ham.
And they've all been useless, haven't they?
Yeah, near enough. Right, Amanda, have we got a treble?
Yeah, Chelsea, Brighton, and a draw no bet, and Mansfield. A tenner gets you 210.
Lovely stuff. Right, regular viewers will know that we run a competition every single week. We give you a chance to win a £25 or €25 free bet, courtesy, of course, of our sponsors, Paddy Power. All you have to do is answer this week's question. Tweet your answer with the hashtag Postcast. The winner will have their free bet credited to their Paddy Power account. Last week's winner was Barry from Aberdeen. So good luck with your free bet, Bazza. Says today's question is, who scored for Bristol City in their 2-1 loss to Manchester City on Tuesday? We'll announce the winner of that on next week's show.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, welcome back to the Racing Post Football Postcast. I'm Dave Clark of the Racing Post, joined by colleagues Mark Langdon and Ian Wilkinson. We've also got Amanda Nee Coleman on the line from our friends and sponsors Paddy Power. 2 Sunday games to get stuck into in the Premier League. Mark Langdon, take us through Bournemouth versus Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's a poor start, isn't it, before we get to the real main course of Liverpool-Man City. Can't wait for that game, actually. Could be the best in the Premier League, I think, so far this season. But in terms of Arsenal-Bournemouth, I just can't back Arsenal at kind of the short prices away from home at the moment. They've only won 3 away matches in the Premier League. He sent out most of his big guns for the game against Chelsea on Wednesday. So a quick turnaround for Bournemouth. Like I said, them 3 away wins, that's the same as Newcastle. And it's at least, everyone else from the Big 6 has won at least 6 away matches. So they're a long way behind in being able to win these games. I think Bournemouth are on the up. They made a lot of changes for their FA Cup draw against Wigan. You have a look at sort of their recent performances. Not great defensively. I mean, they dominated the game against West Ham, and they still managed to concede 3 goals. But Begovic was at fault for at least one of those, maybe 2. And actually, I think the overall unit's playing quite well at the moment. Individual errors are costing them. I thought they were the better team against Brighton as well on New Year's Day. Scored a couple of goals, came from behind twice. They are scoring, and that makes them, I think, a threat. Not sure about them actually winning the game, so I'll go draw or Bournemouth on the double chance. I think it'll be a high-scoring game.
Do you think they'll try and take it to Arsenal?
I think they will, because that's kind of the way they play. But if you have a think back to earlier on in the season, I mean, Man City needed every second of their game to secure maximum points against them. They played really well at Old Trafford. They didn't deserve the kick in the teeth for losing that game, which I think suggests that they are improving in terms of sort of playing against the big teams. I was always wary of backing them against the big teams because of the amount of goals they conceded. Always give themselves a lot to do. Even when they got tonked at Man City, you actually have a look at the stats. They did better than a lot of other teams did at the Etihad, and the game just got away from them late on. So a tentative vote for Bournemouth or the draw. I just can't be backing Arsenal. It's a similar type game, really, in terms of level, where it's even harder than the West Brom game, and they didn't deserve to win, even though it was a dodgy refereeing penalty. They didn't play well in that game.
Let's get a show from Amanda then, because Arsenal saying that Mark suggesting that Arsenal far too short. What price are they in the Bournemouth and the draw?
Yeah, Arsenal are 4-6, Bournemouth 7-2, and the draw is up 3-1.
Wilco, what do we think?
I'm not touching that 4-6. Thank you very much. You know, as Mark's sentiments suggest, they are not a team to be trusted at these sort of prices, particularly on the road. I'm a bit concerned. I mean, they kept a clean sheet against Chelsea in the League Cup, and you would anticipate that they are going to be stronger in defence when Cech comes back, because Ospina didn't have a good game at Forest either in the Cup. But they just look so shaky at the back, Arsenal. I can't have any faith in them at all. They've kept 3 clean sheets in 11 away games, and since the 1st of January 2017, they've played 21 away games in the Premier League, and they've conceded at least twice in 11 of those games. And that run started with a 3-3 draw at Dean Court in January last year, 12 months ago. So I think Bournemouth can definitely threaten them and can put them under plenty of pressure. Like Mark, just not quite got the confidence in the Cherries to back them to win the match, but I'm quite interested in 7-4. The Cherries to score more than 1 goal. I think there's a decent chance that they can cause Arsenal, a shaky Arsenal defence, plenty of problems.
I think if you were looking to back the 4-6, you'd only do it once you saw that Ozil and Sanchez were in the starting 11. I mean, because if they're not, and Wilshere went off, of course, against Chelsea in midweek, being one of their sort of best players in midfield. Yep. There's a doubt over Ozil. What was it, a knee injury, I think, and obviously Sanchez didn't start, wants to go to Manchester City. Lacazette's not scoring goals. Iwobi at parties less than 48 hours before matches. I mean, for a 4-6 shot, I think you'd want to see the big guns are out there before you back that. That's for sure.
What do you think the issue is with Lacazette? Because it seems again, Wenger's bought a striker who scored loads of goals in France. Like Chamac, Giroud,
I think that
Gervinho.
I think there's a couple of things. Maybe he's not quite technically quite as good as what they thought he might be. Because I was watching the game against West Brom, and like the 1-2s and everything were bouncing off him quite a bit. I think he maybe lacks a bit of fitness. He gets taken off after 65 minutes most games.
Like clockwork.
Yeah, and the other issue is that attacking unit, I don't think it's working well as a collective, and so it's always difficult for the individual to shine. Ozil's had his injury problems. I think they're a much better team when he plays. Sanchez looks like he's playing for himself. When he does play, he doesn't look like he's playing for the team either. So I think it's an awkward situation for him to go into with, their other 2 forward players, maybe on the way,
So he might be better when he's a bigger fish if they go.
Yeah, I think that, he'll be better when the collective was right, and the collective's not right, is it, at the moment?
Yeah, not a happy place there, man. Did see he went to celebrate when he scored, and half the team celebrated with him, and the other half
I mean,
just
Thierry
back.
Henry said there were problems there. I mean, you'd imagine he would know. I mean, it's not a great place, is it? I don't think at the moment. It doesn't look like a happy camp.
Right, Amanda, got a view on that game for us, Bournemouth Arsenal?
Yeah, of course. Well, Arsenal, a very tough weekend for them. Of course, they really fell apart at the City ground. But I actually missed last night's match, but I heard that they were lucky enough to hold off the 7 shots on target against Chelsea. Yeah, I definitely picked the right Chelsea-Arsenal match to miss anyway in the last few weeks. But yeah, Bournemouth, of course, 1 point off the drop zone here. They had a really tough run up to Christmas as well. 4 losses to the 4 big clubs, but they got 5 points from the 3 matches then, scoring 7 goals with a total of 25 shots on target. So that's a bit more promising, of course, but seriously let down defensively. Do I think they could put it to Arsenal? Slightly, but I'm still going to put up Arsenal to win here. And it's another familiar bet for me here, Arsenal and both to score. But that's priced up at 9-5. Or I was quite sweet and just Arsenal on the handicap -1, which is also 9-5.
Okay, right then. Well, I'll stay with you, Amanda. We've got the big one at 4 o'clock. Liverpool versus Manchester City. And how do Paddy Power price that one up?
Yeah, just looking at the prices here. Liverpool 21-10, the draw 13-5, and Man City are 5-4. Now, before we talk anything else, I have to tell you about a fantastic offer we have here. I'm going to put on my big broadcaster voice here and sell it to you as much as I can, right?
Good stuff.
Yeah. We have money back, all losers, if Aguero scores at any time in this match. So that's on selected markets, including first goal scorer, last goal scorer, correct score, and a few more as well. So if you want to get involved with that match, money back, all losers, if Aguero scores at any time. Obviously, the quality we see week in, week out with City just keeps getting better and better. And no Jesus, which means Aguero certainly isn't going to get any respite. Of course, coming off the bench on Tuesday to get that late winner for Man City, it shows really what he's all about. But I think that they could afford to drop a few points now, and it wouldn't surprise me if they start to do that now in the run up to the Champions League games as they creep a bit closer. This was actually the most popular match on for City to lose this season, of course, to lose their unbeaten run. And this was the fav, of course. I think Liverpool are in a great position now, though. Obviously, they lost Coutinho last week, but that was expected. Excuse me. But I think they went about it really well. And, of course, Van Dijk now, he's going to shake up their defence. Lovren and Klavan starting to put a bit more work into it now, knowing that they have their work cut out for them. But obviously, I think Salah's still going to be missing at the weekend with a knee injury, if I'm not mistaken there. But just looking at the way the goals have been going in, City have scored only 32% of their goals in the first half, where Liverpool have scored 42% of those. So backing when the first goal is going to come could be interesting here. 0-0 at half-time is priced up at 11-4, or a draw at half-time is at 13-10. But City, odds against, is not something that you're going to see often. And it's hard to pass up that value at 5-4.
Great stuff there from you, Amanda. First of all, Mark, that's special. Aguero, do we like that one?
Well, I mean, he's going to start and he's their most likely goal scorer. So, I mean, I think if you factor that in, I mean, he's the most likely person to score, isn't he, in the game? I mean, we spoke at the time of the Manchester United game, said would that be the last time that City would be odds against to win a game this season? I think the fact that they're not at Anfield shows really where the market thinks of Liverpool, as probably the second best team in the league, or certainly a much closer, say, to Chelsea and Manchester United than I think a lot of casual football fans would maybe sort of believe it is. We don't know who's right. I mean, maybe the market's got it wrong. I was looking at the draw for this game, actually. Be a good result, I think, for both teams. Liverpool keeps them sort of edging closer towards where they need to be at the end of the season, which is in the top 4. City have got points to play with, and you have a look at their away games in recent times. They've only actually scored twice in the last 3 away games. They had that 0-0 at Crystal Palace. Of course, they 1-0 at Newcastle when they dominated. But I think Liverpool unbeaten at Anfield for a long time. Crystal Palace, the only team to have won there since the start of February of last year. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a really close game, a really interesting game. When two teams press, sometimes it can get a little bit helter-skelter and you don't actually see a lot of quality. I think there'll be quality, but I think it'll be very tight. And I thought Liverpool played really well at the Etihad for about 15 minutes before Mane got the red card. They were actually, if anything, the better team. I think this is going to be a close game. Don't want to be against City. Don't really want to be against Liverpool. Go for the draw.
How much a bigger miss will Coutinho be for Liverpool?
Yeah, maybe not so much in this game, depending on Salah's status. I think as long as they've got Salah, Mane and Firmino, I don't really see it as a problem. But obviously Coutinho could fill in one of those three attacking positions and then also gave you, great creativity from central midfield. I actually think in a game like this, probably playing with three more solid central midfielders actually helps Liverpool out in some respects, and maybe it would have been like Mane that didn't play and Coutinho would have been one of the front three, because it is, you don't want to be too attacking against City, because you've got to respect the threat that they've got in midfield. So I think he's lost maybe being those kind of easier games where he can unlock a team, with a bit of magic,
better shape for this one.
a set piece, but actually might give him a bit more defensive solidity against a City team that you have to. You get when people say, "Oh, you've got to attack them," you've got to attack. I think you've got to be sensible in when you try and nick the ball off them. But they are conceding maybe more goals now than what they have done earlier on in the campaign. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe teams are sort of working out the best ways to hurt them.
Looking forward to this one, Wilco?
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. One of the byproducts of 2/3 of the league desperately trying to hold on to results against the bigger teams is that the games between the big teams this season have been really entertaining, absorbing stuff, and I'd anticipate that this would be another one. If City are going to go unbeaten this season, which we're now, is realistic, we're now talking about whether they are going to match the invincible team from Arsenal and do that, then this is a big stepping stone for them. This is a big hurdle, but I just don't know whether Liverpool are going to have that same sort of cutting edge with now that Coutinho's gone, and they're always still liable to the odd defensive error. Goalkeeping issues still. I can't understand why Klopp plays one goalkeeper in the Cup and one goalkeeper in the league. He should have a number one goalkeeper and stick with him. I think that affects the confidence of the players that he has. And I think that they could struggle, and the sight of Manchester City in a Premier League game at 5-4 is too attractive for me, really. I'll be back in the visitors.
Mark, just a quick word on this unbeaten run, as it were. Do you think that City be that bothered by it?
No, I think it's probably, of all their targets, it's probably at the bottom of the pile. I mean, obviously they'd love to do it, but I think that the concern for anybody that's backed it or is thinking of backing it now probably comes when the league's won, because there's a strong possibility they'll get it wrapped up a long time before Arsenal, because Arsenal's Invincibles drew a lot of matches, so it wasn't like they were like anywhere near as far clear. Obviously, City have got the biggest gap in Premier League history at this time. If it's won by sort of March or maybe April, early April, sort of Easter time or whatever, and they're in Champions League, FA, then their targets move to other competitions, and so that's when they become vulnerable in the league. Guardiola didn't manage to do it with Barcelona, nor with Bayern Munich, and there were times with Bayern Munich when he put out really bad teams, towards the end of the season when Bayern were in a similar type control of the
priorities
championship.
change,
it become. I mean, they've got a good chance because they're running out of opponents for them in the hard away matches, as Wilco suggested there. But it may even be in like an easy home game against a relegation struggler where all of a sudden it's a League Cup team, and let's not forget that League Cup team struggled against Bristol City, needed penalties against Leicester, needed penalties against Wolves, fell behind against Burnley. So I think that's probably, if they wanted to do it, I think they could. But I think it's the bottom of the priorities. Quadruple, that's another matter. I mean, I think they fancy their chances in that.
Do you think they're better than that Arsenal team?
Yeah, I'm not even sure the Invincibles was Arsene Wenger's best Arsenal team. Just managed to get the 49 unbeaten. So I think they probably are better than that.
My only misgiving in that debate is that I always think that Arsenal team was better because they've got so much. They had so much ability, but the quality that they had, that if you turned up and you wanted a ruck, then they'd have one, and they had that physical power. Like if you wanted to mix it, then they had the players who could do that and could deal with that as well. And the dirtier, tougher side of the game. And I don't know whether we've seen enough of that in this City game to draw that same conclusion at the moment.
Okay, good stuff. Looking forward to that one. 4 p.m, that one, Liverpool versus Manchester City. Stick with us. We've got one more game to look at.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back to the Racing Post Football Postcast. One game on Monday night, 8 o'clock kickoff. Manchester United at home to Stoke City. Amanda Nee Coleman on the line from Paddy Power. And how do Paddy Power price up this one, Amanda?
6-1 and Stoke at 14-1.
And how do you see this one going yourself?
Well, what I'll be siding in here is, I'd say it won't be a very popular bet, I'd say, but let's have a look. Stoke, of course, conceding 47 goals. Managerless now going to Old Trafford. We saw Stoke hold United, though, to a draw at the Britannia back in September, but they were on a good run of form then, of course, and have since spiralled down the table, as we know. United picked up 6 points from 4 matches, picked up late goals as well to secure that FA Cup 4th round spot. But they had 21 shots on target in their last 4 Premier League matches, scoring only 6 of those goals. They conceded very late goals from Leicester and Burnley as well to share those points. And that seems to be the problem for United at the minute. They've scored 33% of their goals after the 75th minute, but they're not getting the job done quick enough. They're leaving room to be caught late, and it's frustrating as a United fan, of course. Only one of those 6 goals was in the first half, and in the 40th minute at that. So the panic seems to set in during the late stages of the match, and that's when we see the errors. So obviously United are the shortest price favourites of the weekend, currently priced about 1-5. So I'm going to say draw at half-time and Man U full-time, which is 11-4.
Good stuff. You mentioned that Stoke obviously managerless at the moment. Come the game, they might have made an announcement by then. But have you got a market for the next manager there?
Yeah, just give us 1 minute there. And well, I think we know who the favourite is. Of course, news there last night that Martin O'Neill could be heading there. He's in talks with them at the minute. So just give us a second here. I'm just finding it hard to find that market.
There's been a load of different favourites, aren't there? I mean,
Bilic, there was a lot of money for Bilic at some point.
Giggs was the. I mean, I don't think it was ever going to go to. I don't think they were ever going to give it to Giggsy to the end of the season, were they? I don't think there was any chance of that. Yeah, the Bilic one surprised me. Gary Rowett didn't. I mean, doing a very good job in the Championship with with Derby. I think it was only right, really, they would look for somebody like that. But then he's decided to stay, with the Rams. And I mean, it's pretty desperate stuff, really, if you start appointing Martin O'Neill. I mean,
I was ready to unload on Stoke to go down if Bilic was appointed.
Mm. Yeah, well, I mean, Martin O'Neill, I mean, he's been out of club football for a long, long time, hasn't he? Maybe a little bit of a shock factor early on.
Would you see them as a bet to be relegated?
I've been on them since the start of the season to be relegated. The biggest surprise for me is that Stoke seem surprised that they're as bad as they are. I mean, they spent like nearly 50% of last season in the Premier League's bottom 3. They signed some absolutely horrendous players. They've got no real goal scoring threat. If Peter Crouch is he's somebody that you'd want on the bench now, but he's actually been playing him, hasn't he? Because he's their biggest goal threat. They're conceding too many goals. They're not scoring enough. They're very limited in midfield. The new manager's got a lot of work to do.
It's 5 on Man United.
I mean, I wouldn't be backing the 5 on, but I mean, I fully expect them to win the game. I was just looking to win to nil, really. I mean, I think the fact that United don't go and win matches 4-5-0, too often actually helps the win to nil bet, because they have to keep it concentrated until the last second, really, don't they? Because that's always your biggest concern, I think, when you back a team win to nil, like a strong favourite, is they get so far ahead that they start concentrating on other games. But United seem to be like your 1-0, 2-0 merchants, even against Derby in the FA Cup.
They are a Mourinho side.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way he does it. So I don't think that Stoke have got the quality at either position. First to keep Manchester United out, and second to hurt on the counter attack. Long balls up to Crouch. That's not really going to be the way to win the game. Pretty dispirited at the moment. If you lose to Coventry of League Two in a must-win game, then I think that says a lot about the spirit around the place at the moment. United to win to nil.
Wilco, for you?
Yeah, I've been looking on the goal scorer front. I think this could be a game where we see the best of Lukaku. I mean, he's back now. He scored in the cup game against Derby, and this could be the sort of physical encounter that he perhaps we see a bit more out of him.
You're not worried about? I did read a story that he was a bit concerned about some sort of voodoo curse that had been put on him.
Yeah, well, he's the latest story on that is I think there was talk he might sue the Everton sort of the owner for.
Maybe he might be better just getting his head down, working hard, trying to score a few goals. Really, not worrying too much about this. But you want to be with him here, Wilco? I do want to be with him here. I think this could be a game where he does quite well. The Stokes record against, the Stokes record against everybody's been pretty terrible. But I mean, they beat Arsenal earlier in the season, but they've let in 9 goals against Chelsea in 2 matches. They let in 7 against City, 3 against Liverpool, and 5 against Spurs. I know perhaps United aren't in the same sort of level as a lot of those teams when it comes to pushing forward and being positive, but I still think that he could have a big game against this side. He's not scored more than 2 goals. More than 1 goal in a game since the win over West Ham on August the 13th. But he did score against Stoke in their 2-2 draw at the Bet365 Stadium. So I would suggest that 7-2 that he scores more than 1 goal in this game might be worth a poke.
How short is Martin O'Neill now to be the
Martin
next
O'Neill? Yeah, he's priced up at 8-15. You've Bilic at 9-4. Chico Flores 7-2. Lee Johnson 17-2, 16s for Ryan Giggs, 25s bar.
And you don't think O'Neill can save him, Mark?
Maybe. I think that's all what they do in January, really.
I've got a mate who describes the Republic of Ireland team as international Stoke, so maybe he might be able to get you now.
Excellent stuff, right? The guys have dug out some gems there for you. We'll be back for another football postcast next Thursday. Do remember that if you like the show, do rate and review, and of course, subscribe on iTunes. Thanks for listening.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.